Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've got some fascinating excerpts from Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts.
Oh, yeah. Very intriguing stuff.
And, we're going to be looking at these ideas about consciousness and reality and what Seth calls the soul.
Right. And this is not your typical spiritual text.
Yeah.
This is Seth speaking through Jane Roberts, really pushing the boundaries of how we think about existence.
Absolutely. Right from the start, we hit this paradox. You know, Seth claims there's no past, present, or future.
Right.
And yet he talks about past existences. How can those two ideas possibly coexist?
Well, he seems to be challenging our everyday linear understanding of time.
Right.
He suggests that from a broader perspective, all moments are happening at once, kind of like a multidimensional tapestry, you know.
I get that. But how can we even function if we don't have a sense of time moving forward?
Sure.
I mean, is Seth expecting us to just abandon our experience of time altogether?
I don't think so. Not necessarily. It's more about expanding our awareness beyond our limited perception. He uses the analogy of watching a movie.
Right.
You know, you experience the plot unfold linearly, but the entire film exists on the reel simultaneously.
Right, yeah.
Our perception of time is like watching frame by frame, but the reel of all moments always exists.
Okay, that's a helpful way to visualize it.
Right.
You know, what I find particularly interesting is how Seth describes his connection with Jane Roberts.
Yeah, very unique.
He claims that he was interacting with her long before she was even open to the idea of, like, psychic phenomena or anything like that.
Yeah.
What does that suggest about how consciousness might communicate?
It challenges our assumptions about the limitations of communication.
Yeah.
You know, like Seth suggests that communication can happen beyond our typical channels, you know, bypassing the need for physical interaction or even words, really. It makes you wonder what we might be missing, right? Yeah. By relying solely on our physical senses.
Absolutely. And Seth seems to be suggesting that our physical senses are actually quite limited.
Yeah.
That they only offer a glimpse of a much larger reality. And instead, he emphasizes these inner senses, which can perceive beyond the three-dimensional world.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that Seth claims that he was able to experience your past, present, and future simultaneously within what he calls a moment point. Now, whether or not you buy into the literal interpretation, it raises an intriguing question, you know? Like, what if our physical senses were just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to perceiving reality?
This idea of a moment point is very intriguing.
Yeah.
But it also feels a bit vague, you know? How does it differ from our usual understanding of time? Where past, present, and future seem to flow in this linear sequence.
Well, think of it this way. You're looking at a photo of yourself as a child. In that photo, your past self exists within that specific moment captured by the camera. Now imagine experiencing all those moment points of your life at once. Like a vast collection of snapshots existing simultaneously. That's kind of what Seth is getting at with the idea of a moment point. It's a way of conceptualizing experience outside of the constraints of linear time.
Okay, that helps to clarify things a little bit.
Right.
So if our inner senses can access these moment points and perceive beyond the limitations of our physical senses, how do we develop these inner senses?
Well, Seth suggests we can cultivate our inner senses through practices like meditation and dream exploration, you know. It's about quieting the mind and becoming more receptive to those subtle impressions and insights that often go unnoticed in our, you know, busy lives.
This makes me think of those times when you get a sudden flash of intuition.
Yeah.
Or a gut feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. You know, is that what Seth's talking about?
That could be one way these inner senses manifest, yeah.
Okay.
And this idea of consciousness not being limited by the physical body leads us to another mind-bending concept in Seth Speaks. This idea that consciousness exists independently of physical matter.
Okay, so he even makes this bold claim that he was conscious before Earth was formed.
Whoa, right.
How does that even make sense? If consciousness doesn't need a brain, what happens to it after death?
Well, Seth pushes us to consider the possibility that consciousness is primary, not a byproduct of the brain or the physical body. He uses the term ego-boundedness to describe our tendency to identify solely with our physical selves and limited ego-based identities. He suggests that we are so much more than our physical bodies.
Okay.
And death, as we understand it, is not an end, but a transition to another level of experience.
Okay. So if consciousness isn't dependent on the physical body, where does it go after death?
Yeah.
What happens to our sense of self?
Well, Seth describes various after-death experiences.
Okay.
But he emphasizes that our beliefs and expectations shape these experiences.
Okay.
He uses the term probable realities,
Yeah.
suggesting we essentially create our own afterlife environment based on our thoughts and emotions.
Right.
It's a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
And one that might resonate with people who have had near-death experiences
Right.
or other experiences that suggest consciousness can exist outside the physical body.
Okay, and this ties into a theme that seems to run throughout Seth Speaks.
Yeah.
This idea that we are active creators of our reality. Seth even suggests specific details about manipulating this process.
Right.
Is where things get really interesting.
He dives into some thought-provoking concepts.
Yeah.
He introduces the idea of coordinate points.
Okay.
These are areas of concentrated energy where our thoughts and intentions can materialize more easily. Imagine you're trying to manifest a new job, right? Right. Understanding coordinate points could help you identify those areas where your thoughts and intentions might have the most impact, accelerating your progress,
So it's not just about positive thinking,
right?
but about understanding how and where our thoughts take root in reality.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And this leads us to his concept of electromagnetic energy units, or EE units, which are emanations from consciousness. Seth claims these units can, under certain conditions, coagulate into matter.
Whoa.
It's like saying our thoughts and emotions are literally creating the fabric of our reality.
This is both empowering and a little overwhelming. If our thoughts have that much power, we need to be mindful of what we focus on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Seth constantly emphasizes the importance of understanding the power of our minds and using it constructively. He stresses the importance of cultivating positive thoughts and emotions, recognizing that those will shape our experience of reality.
That makes sense, but what about the negative stuff?
Sure.
Are we supposed to just ignore or suppress those thoughts?
It's not about suppressing negative thoughts, but about understanding their power and choosing to focus on what we want to create.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we respond to our thoughts and emotions, and that by choosing to focus on the positive, we can create a more fulfilling and joyful experience for ourselves.
This idea of choice and personal responsibility aligns with Seth's unique view on reincarnation, which he presents not as a rigid karmic system,
not a punishment system,
but as a process of exploration and development across multiple lifetimes.
What's interesting here is that Seth doesn't emphasize punishment or reward in future lives.
Okay.
He sees reincarnation as a fluid process of learning and growth. He even suggests that we have alternative versions of ourselves existing in other realities.
Whoa.
Called probable selves, living out different possibilities.
So it's like we have a team of selves out there.
Yeah.
Each exploring a different aspect of reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so could these probable selves be the source of those sudden urges or flashes of insight?
Yeah.
That sometimes feel like they come out of nowhere?
That's exactly what Seth suggests.
Okay.
He calls these benign intrusive impulses.
Okay.
And he encourages us to pay attention to them. These impulses might be messages from our probable self, offering guidance or new perspectives.
Okay, so these intrusive impulses could be a way for our probable selves to communicate with us, sharing their wisdom and experiences. This raises an important question, though. How can we learn to recognize and interpret these impulses?
Well, Seth suggests paying attention to those intuitive nudges,
Okay.
even if they seem strange or out of character. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all aspects of ourselves, including those existing in other probable realities.
It's like we're all connected across time and dimensions, supporting each other on this journey of evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, before we move on to Seth's ideas about sleep and dream states, I want to touch on something that really struck me in the excerpts you shared.
Okay.
He mentions these individuals called speakers, who are trained to communicate across realities.
This is a really fascinating aspect of Seth Speaks. He describes these speakers as having existed throughout history,
Whoa.
playing a role in transmitting knowledge across time and dimensions.
Okay.
He even suggests that he and Jane were speakers in past lives.
That's incredible. So if these speakers have existed throughout history,
Yeah.
what kind of knowledge have they been transmitting?
Right.
And what can we learn from them today?
Well, Seth describes them as conduits for wisdom
Okay.
that transcends our ordinary understanding. He talks about these ancient civilizations possessing knowledge that's been lost or forgotten, and suggests that the speakers played a crucial role in preserving and transmitting this wisdom across generations.
It makes you wonder if there's like a hidden history of humanity out there.
Yeah.
Waiting to be rediscovered.
Right.
You know, what if we have access to far more knowledge and wisdom than we realize?
That's one of the questions Seth prompts us to consider.
Yeah.
He's challenging the conventional narrative of history and suggesting that there's much more to the story of human evolution than we currently understand.
It's all incredibly mind-expanding.
Yeah, a lot to take in.
Seth is certainly giving us a lot to ponder.
He encourages us not to blindly accept his ideas, but to question them, explore them for ourselves,
Right.
and see how they resonate with our own experiences.
It's like he's inviting us to embark on our own journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
You know, to explore the vast potential that lies within each of us. It's all really exciting.
Yeah.
Sure. Where do we go from here?
Well, let's delve into Seth's perspective on the nature of evil.
Okay.
He makes the bold statement, claiming that evil doesn't exist in the ultimate sense, but acknowledges its apparent effects in our world.
Okay, I'm ready to grapple with this one. If evil doesn't exist, how do we explain all the suffering and cruelty we see in the world?
That's a question that has haunted philosophers and theologians for centuries.
Yeah.
Seth's perspective offers a fresh and challenging way to approach this complex issue.
Okay.
He suggests that what we perceive as evil is a distortion, a misinterpretation of events based on our limited understanding.
He compares it to judging a storm as evil because it causes destruction. But from a larger perspective, that storm is part of a natural cycle, a creative force.
Precisely. He's encouraging us to look beyond our immediate ego-centered perspective and consider a broader context.
Yeah.
Imagine a painting of a battle scene.
Okay.
The artist skillfully depicts the horrors of war. Right.
But the painting itself isn't evil.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The painting is a representation of a difficult reality, but it's not inherently evil.
Right.
It's the interpretation, the judgment we place on it.
Exactly.
That creates the concept of evil.
That's the core of Seth's argument.
Okay.
He proposes that good and evil are concepts we create based on our limited understanding. He challenges us to move beyond those simplistic categories and recognize the interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
Even those we might label as bad.
So instead of labeling things as good or evil, we should try to understand them within a larger context, recognizing that everything is part of a larger pattern.
That's precisely what Seth suggests.
Okay.
He's asking us to step back and see the bigger picture, to trust that there's a higher purpose at play, even if we can't always see it from our limited human perspective.
That's a challenging concept, but also a hopeful one.
You know, if we can shift our perspective and see beyond the labels of good and evil, maybe we can approach challenges and suffering with more compassion and understanding.
That's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Seth encourages us to have faith in the goodness of the universe.
Right.
Even when faced with difficult experiences.
And this leads us to his discussion of the multidimensional God. He urges us to move beyond traditional religious narratives. That often depict God as a judgmental figure, separate from creation. He's suggesting a more expansive concept of the divine, one that's not limited by human concepts of good and evil.
Exactly.
What does he mean by multidimensional God? What does that even look like?
He's pointing toward an understanding of the divine that transcends our limited three-dimensional perception. He suggests that God exists in dimensions beyond our comprehension, encompassing realms of consciousness and energy that we can't even begin to imagine. It's like trying to describe the ocean to someone who's never seen it before.
Right.
We can use words and metaphors,
Yeah.
but we can't fully convey the vastness and complexity of the experience.
So we're talking about a God that's far greater and more complex
Right.
than anything we can comprehend with our limited human minds.
Exactly. And Seth suggests that this multidimensional God is not a distant, judgmental entity, but a fundamental force that permeates all of existence.
Right.
He uses the term all that is to describe this all-encompassing divine force, suggesting that it's the source of all creation, including both what we perceive as positive and negative. He's challenging us to shift our focus from external worship to inner realization, suggesting that we can experience God directly through our own consciousness by tapping into the deeper levels of our being.
This is all really starting to connect.
Yeah, it's all intertwined.
Seth seems to be weaving together this tapestry of ideas about consciousness, reality, and spirituality. That challenges our conventional ways of thinking and opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And he's just getting started.
Okay, I'm ready for more.
Next, we'll explore his fascinating ideas about the Christ entity and how they challenge traditional Christian beliefs.
Sounds good.
So picking up where we left off, Seth's perspective on the Christ entity is really intriguing. He claims that the Christ entity was composed of 3 personalities, John the Baptist, Jesus, and Paul. He even suggests a 3rd Christ personality will emerge in the future.
Whoa!
This is a pretty radical reinterpretation of traditional Christian beliefs, isn't it?
It definitely challenges the conventional narrative.
Yeah.
What does Seth mean when he says the Christ entity was composed of 3 personalities?
He's suggesting that the Christ entity is not a single individual, but a collective force that manifests in different forms throughout history. Think of it like this. Each personality represents a different facet of the Christ entity, expressing a unique aspect of its message.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Right.
So if John the Baptist, Jesus, and Paul represent different facets of the Christ entity, what about this 3rd personality that Seth predicts will emerge in the future?
Right.
What will their role be?
Seth suggests this 3rd Christ personality will guide humanity beyond religious symbolism. Emphasizing individual spiritual experience and the expansiveness of the soul. He talks about this figure helping us recognize the multitudinous aspects of our own reality and connect with the divine in a more direct and personal way.
It sounds like he's pointing towards a future where spirituality is less about dogma and more about direct experience.
Exactly.
Does Seth offer any insights into what that might look like?
Sure.
Or how we might prepare for this shift?
He emphasizes the importance of personal exploration and inner development. He encourages us to connect with our inner selves, develop our intuition, and cultivate a direct relationship with the divine. Practices like meditation and dream exploration could be ways to deepen this connection.
It's like he's saying that the kingdom of heaven is within us. And we can access it by cultivating our inner awareness. This reminds me of something we discussed earlier. Seth's concept of the speakers. Those individuals trained to communicate across realities. Could these speakers be connected to the emergence of these Christ personalities?
That's an insightful connection. Seth suggests that the speakers have existed throughout history, transmitting knowledge and wisdom across time and dimensions. It's possible they played a role in preparing humanity for the emergence of these Christ personalities, laying the groundwork for a deeper understanding of consciousness and spirituality.
So if the speakers have been working behind the scenes throughout history, what kind of knowledge have they been transmitting? And how does their work relate to Seth's overall message?
Seth talks about these ancient civilizations possessing a deep understanding of consciousness.
Reality and the interconnectedness of all things. He suggests that they had access to information and abilities that have been lost or forgotten by modern society.
This makes me wonder what we might be missing out on by not tapping into this ancient wisdom. What can we learn from these cultures? How can we apply their insights to our lives today?
Seth believes we can rediscover this lost knowledge and reconnect with our true potential. He encourages us to explore our own inner senses, to pay attention to our dreams and intuitions, and to recognize that we have access to a wisdom that transcends our ordinary understanding.
So it's about cultivating a sense of curiosity, openness, and a willingness to explore beyond the limitations of our current beliefs.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, trusting our intuition, and recognizing that we are capable of far more than we often realize.
This ties into Seth's discussion of the nature of reality.
He suggests that our reality is far more malleable than we typically perceive. He talks about the power of our thoughts and emotions to shape our experiences.
Right.
And he introduces the concept of probable realities.
Yeah.
Suggesting that alternative versions of ourselves exist in other dimensions.
This idea of probable realities is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. If we have alternative versions of ourselves living out different possibilities, how can we tap into their experiences? Can we learn from them?
Seth suggests that we can connect with our probable selves. Through those benign, intrusive impulses we talked about earlier. These sudden urges, flashes of insight, or intuitive nudges might be messages from our probable selves, offering guidance or new perspectives.
So it's about being open to those unexpected moments of inspiration.
Yeah.
Trusting that they might be more than just random thoughts or coincidences.
That's right.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all aspects of ourselves, including those existing in other probable realities.
Seth's ideas about the multidimensionality of the self naturally lead to his exploration of reincarnation, which he presents not as a rigid karmic system.
Not a punishment system, right?
But as a process of exploration and development across multiple lifetimes.
What's interesting here is that Seth doesn't emphasize punishment or reward in future lives. He sees reincarnation as a fluid and creative process where we choose to experience different lifetimes to learn, grow, and expand our awareness. Each lifetime is like a chapter in a much larger story, offering unique opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
So it's not about being punished or rewarded for past deeds, but about choosing experiences that will help us evolve and fulfill our soul's purpose.
Precisely. He emphasizes that we are constantly creating our reality, both in this life and beyond. Our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs shape our experiences, and we have the power to choose which probable realities we experience.
This is a truly empowering concept.
It is, very much so.
It suggests that we have far more control over our lives than we often realize. But if we're constantly creating our reality, does that mean we're responsible for everything that happens to us? Even the difficult experiences?
That's a complex question. Seth acknowledges that we encounter challenges and difficulties in life. But he encourages us to view them as opportunities for growth and learning. He suggests that by shifting our perspective, we can transform even the most difficult experiences into valuable lessons.
This ties back to his idea that evil is an illusion.
Exactly.
He's suggesting that even those experiences we might label as bad can ultimately serve a higher purpose in our soul's journey.
That's a great insight. And this leads us to Seth's discussion of the nature of the soul. Which he describes as a dynamic and ever-evolving force, intimately connected to all aspects of our being.
This is intriguing. How does Seth's view of the soul differ from traditional religious or spiritual perspectives?
He doesn't present the soul as a static entity, separate from the body. Instead, he describes it as a multidimensional force, extending far beyond the confines of our physical body and our current lifetime. He suggests that the soul is a vast reservoir of creativity and potential, constantly seeking to express itself in new and expansive ways.
So the soul is not a fixed entity, but a force of becoming, constantly evolving and expanding its awareness through experiences in multiple dimensions and lifetimes.
That's a great way to put it. And Seth encourages us to connect with our souls, to listen to its whispers, and to follow its guidance. He suggests that by aligning ourselves with our soul's purpose, we can tap into a wellspring of creativity, wisdom, and joy.
This aligns with his emphasis on self-exploration and inner discovery.
Yeah, it's all connected.
He seems to be saying that the journey of self-discovery is also a journey of soul discovery. But how do we actually connect with our soul? What does that look like in practice?
Seth suggests practices like meditation, dream exploration, and creative expression as ways to tap into the wisdom and guidance of our soul. It's about quieting the mind,
Right.
listening to our intuition,
Yeah.
and paying attention to those subtle nudges and synchronicities that often guide us toward our true path.
This makes me think of those times when we get a sudden flash of inspiration
Right.
or a deep knowing that feels like it comes from somewhere deep within us.
Yeah.
Could that be our soul speaking to us?
That's certainly a possibility. Seth encourages us to pay attention to these intuitive moments,
Okay.
recognizing that they often hold valuable insights and guidance.
Yeah.
He suggests that our soul is constantly communicating with us,
Hmm.
but we often miss the messages
Right.
because we're too caught up in the noise of our everyday lives.
So it's about learning to tune in,
Right.
to become more sensitive to those subtle whispers of our soul.
Yeah, exactly.
This reminds me of Seth's discussion of sleep and dream states, where he advocates for changing our sleep patterns
Right.
to enhance dream recall and access a deeper level of awareness.
Yeah, very interesting stuff.
How does this relate to his ideas about connecting with our soul?
Seth believes that our typical sleep patterns, where we sleep in one long block, create an artificial separation between our conscious and subconscious minds.
Right.
He suggests that shorter sleep intervals throughout the day and night
Okay.
would allow for better communication between these two aspects of ourselves,
Right.
leading to enhanced dream recall and a more fluid connection with our intuition and creative potential.
So it's about bridging the gap between our waking and dreaming selves,
Yeah,
allowing for a more integrated and holistic experience of consciousness.
exactly. He suggests that by incorporating shorter sleep intervals, we can maintain a more constant connection with our inner selves, accessing the wisdom and creativity of our subconscious mind throughout the day.
This goes against the conventional advice of getting a solid 8 hours of sleep each night.
It does, yeah.
But it makes sense that our bodies might benefit from more frequent periods of rest and rejuvenation.
It does. And Seth emphasizes that these shorter sleep intervals shouldn't be seen as naps in the traditional sense.
Right.
They're more about consciously shifting our awareness,
Okay.
allowing for a deeper connection with our inner selves.
Right.
He compares it to dipping our toes into the ocean of our subconscious, refreshing our minds and bodies without fully disconnecting from our waking reality.
That's a helpful analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not about drastically changing our sleep patterns overnight,
Right.
but about experimenting with shorter sleep intervals and seeing how they affect our energy levels,
Yeah.
dream recall, and overall well-being.
Exactly.
Speaking of dreams, Seth talks about the final touching up process of dreams, where our subconscious mind translates experiences into physical terms, often distorting their deeper meaning.
Yeah.
What does he mean by this?
He suggests that the dreams we remember might not be the raw experience,
Okay.
but a filtered version adapted to our waking consciousness.
Right.
Our subconscious mind uses symbols, metaphors, and imagery to communicate with us
Right.
in a language that our waking mind can understand.
Okay.
But this translation process can sometimes obscure the deeper meaning of the dream.
So the dreams we remember might be like watching a foreign film with subtitles.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
We get the gist of the story,
Right.
but we might miss some of the nuances and subtext.
And Seth encourages us to learn to interpret our dreams more effectively,
Okay.
recognizing that they offer valuable insights into our subconscious mind and our broader reality. He provides specific techniques for dream work,
Okay.
suggesting we keep a dream journal,
Right.
pay attention to recurring symbols, and use our intuition to decipher the messages hidden within our dreams.
This seems to align with his emphasis on developing our inner senses
Absolutely.
and cultivating our intuition.
It's all connected.
He's encouraging us to become more aware of the subtle messages and symbols that our subconscious mind is constantly sending us,
Right.
both in our waking and dreaming states.
Precisely. He's inviting us to become active participants in our dream lives,
Okay.
recognizing that they're not just random firings of neurons,
Right.
but a rich source of wisdom and guidance.
And this leads us to another fascinating aspect of Seth Speaks,
Okay.
his exploration of ancient civilizations and their understanding of consciousness.
This is one of the most intriguing parts of Seth's work.
Yeah, I agree.
He talks about civilizations like Lumania, a pre-Atlantean culture, and a pre-Neanderthal race, suggesting they possessed knowledge and abilities that have been lost or forgotten by mainstream history.
That's right.
He describes these ancient cultures as having a deep understanding of energy and consciousness, and suggests that they were able to interact with other dimensions.
Wow.
In ways that we're only beginning to rediscover today.
He even talks about specific technologies and practices they used to enhance their consciousness and access higher levels of reality.
Right.
What kind of technologies and practices are we talking about?
He describes them as having advanced understanding of energy fields, telepathy, and interdimensional travel. He suggests that these abilities aren't supernatural, but natural human potentials that have been lost or suppressed due to our focus on the material world and our separation from nature.
So it's not about starting from scratch, but about rediscovering a lost inheritance, reawakening abilities that have been dormant within us for centuries.
That's the empowering message Seth is conveying.
Okay.
He suggests that we are not just limited to the current level of human understanding, but have access to a vast reservoir of wisdom and knowledge that extends far beyond our recorded history.
It's like he's opening a door to a hidden world of possibilities.
Yes, exactly.
Encouraging us to step through and explore the vast potential of our own being.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
He challenges the conventional timeline of human evolution, suggesting that we've been far more advanced in the past than we currently give ourselves credit for.
This aligns with his overall message of expanding our awareness and recognizing the vast potential of consciousness.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying that we've forgotten who we truly are and what we're capable of.
Exactly. He encourages us to look beyond the limitations of our current beliefs and to consider the possibility that we've inherited a much richer legacy than we realize.
So what can we learn from these ancient civilizations? What insights can they offer us today?
Seth suggests that these cultures had a more holistic view of reality, recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of living in harmony with nature. They understood the power of thought and intention, and they developed techniques for harnessing these forces to create their reality.
He talks about their use of sound and vibration to heal the body and to influence consciousness. He also mentions their understanding of sacred geometry and their ability to tap into the Earth's energy grid.
Exactly. He's suggesting that these ancient cultures had a deep understanding of the subtle energies that permeate the universe and that they developed technologies and practices to work with these energies in ways that we're only beginning to explore today.
It's like they were masters of a science that we've forgotten, but that we can reclaim if we're willing to open our minds and explore beyond the limitations of our current understanding. This is all incredibly inspiring. It makes me want to delve into this hidden history and see what insights these ancient civilizations can offer us.
That's a great attitude to have. Remember, Seth encourages us to question everything, to explore these ideas for ourselves, and to see how they resonate with our own experiences. And speaking of exploring, in the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into Seth's fascinating ideas about sleep, dreams, and how we can tap into the wisdom of our subconscious mind.
So last time we were talking about these ancient civilizations. And how they seem to have a much deeper understanding of consciousness than we do today.
Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Seth suggests that these ancient cultures weren't just technologically advanced, but also spiritually evolved. He talks about their understanding of the nature of reality, their awareness of the power of thought, and their ability to create their experiences through conscious intention.
He even suggests that they were able to interact with other dimensions. And communicate with animals telepathically.
Wild stuff.
It's like they had access to a whole range of abilities that we've lost touch with over the centuries.
He describes these abilities not as supernatural gifts, but as natural human potentials that have been dormant for centuries. He suggests that we can reclaim these abilities by expanding our awareness, reconnecting with nature, and tapping into the wisdom of our subconscious mind.
So it's not just about rediscovering lost technology.
It's deeper than that.
But about reclaiming a way of being, a worldview that recognizes the interconnectedness of all things and the power of consciousness to create our experiences.
That's a pretty radical idea.
It is. It really is.
And it challenges us to rethink our assumptions about what it means to be human.
Right.
Seth invites us to see ourselves as multidimensional beings with vast potential, capable of far more than we currently imagine.
This is all incredibly exciting.
It is, yeah.
But it can also feel a bit overwhelming.
Sure.
Where do we even begin to explore these ideas and reclaim our lost abilities?
Well, Seth emphasizes the importance of self-exploration and inner work.
Okay.
You know, he encourages us to cultivate our intuition, to pay attention to our dreams, and to explore the depths of our subconscious mind. Right. He believes that within each of us lies a wellspring of wisdom and guidance, just waiting to be discovered.
So it's about turning inward, listening to our inner voice, and trusting that we have the answers we seek within ourselves.
That's a great way to put it. Okay. And this brings us back to our discussion of dreams. Right. Seth places a lot of emphasis on dreams, suggesting they're not just random firings of neurons, but a rich source of wisdom and guidance. He encourages us to see our dreams as a form of communication from our subconscious mind, a language that we can learn to understand.
This reminds me of his discussion of the speakers, those individuals trained to communicate across realities.
Right.
It's like he's saying that we can all become speakers in our own right, tapping into a universal pool of knowledge through our dreams and intuition.
That's a powerful insight.
Yeah.
He suggests that we all have the potential to become more aware of the subtle realms of consciousness, to connect with our inner wisdom, and to access information and guidance that can help us navigate our lives.
So how do we tap into this potential? What are some practical steps we can take to explore our dreams and learn to interpret their messages?
Well, Seth encourages us to start by keeping a dream journal.
Okay.
The simple act of writing down our dreams can make them more vivid and memorable.
Right.
And it allows us to track recurring symbols and themes. He also suggests paying attention to our feelings and intuitions.
Okay.
When we wake up from a dream, what emotions does the dream evoke?
Right.
What gut feelings arise?
These can offer valuable clues to the dream's meaning.
So it's not just about remembering the storyline of the dream.
Right, it's more than that.
But also about tuning into the emotional and intuitive landscape that the dream creates.
That's right.
Okay.
Seth suggests that our dreams often speak to us in a symbolic language, using images, metaphors, and archetypes to communicate deeper truths about ourselves and our experiences.
Okay.
He encourages us to explore these symbols, to look for patterns and connections, and to trust our own intuitive understanding of what they might mean.
This sounds like a fascinating process of self-discovery.
It is.
But it can also feel a bit daunting.
Sure.
How do we know if we're interpreting our dreams correctly?
Seth emphasizes that there's no one right way to interpret dreams.
Okay.
You know, he encourages us to trust our own intuition and to be open to multiple interpretations. He suggests that the most important thing is to engage with our dreams with curiosity.
Openness and a willingness to explore the hidden messages they might contain.
So it's about becoming more aware of our dream world.
Yeah.
Paying attention to the symbols and messages that emerge.
Right.
And trusting our own inner guidance to lead us to the insights we seek.
That's the essence of it.
Okay.
And Seth suggests that by engaging with our dreams in this way, we can tap into a profound source of wisdom and guidance that can enrich our lives and help us navigate our journeys of self-discovery.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Seth has challenged us to rethink our assumptions about time, consciousness, reality, and even the nature of good and evil. He has offered profound insights, practical techniques, and a vision of a future where humanity has embraced its true potential as spiritual beings.
He has opened up a world of possibilities.
He really has.
Inviting us to explore the vastness of our own being and to connect with the divine spark that resides within each of us.
As we emerge from this deep dive, I encourage you to take Seth's teachings to heart.
Yeah, great advice.
Explore your own consciousness, connect with your soul, and create a life that reflects the wisdom and beauty you've discovered within yourself. Remember, as Seth reminds us, you create your own reality, and you do so through the power of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Choose wisely, create with love, and embrace the infinite possibilities that lie before you.